So I'm not backpacking or whatever. I'm just looking for things I can get to in an hour or two. All right, you need to speak up, she said. And one of the other things I've done is try to introduce friends and people I've met to hiking and the benefits of hiking. Using a very broad definition of hiking here. But my thought is, whoever you are, whatever level you're at, it would be good for you to have a good experience. If somebody says, hey, here's a hike or here's a walk you might like, as opposed to, we've all got to do the most ambitious things out there. I'm not turning my nose up at any particular hike. So how old do you have to be? This is my daughter's family. My daughter's husband was taking the picture, so he's not in it. But she's got a 9-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. And their idea of a good Mother's Day was to go to Old Stone Fort and do some hiking.
Go where?
I think this was Old Stone Fort, she told me. So
Yeah.
if anybody can.
Merton Park.
And by the way, I see this as being an interactive kind of discussion because some of the people know stuff that I don't hear. So please feel free to join.
Can you make that full screen right there? That little quick thing.
Oh, yeah, down in the lower right.
On the far right on the bottom.
Yes.
There you go, perfect.
Much better.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good suggestion. And I do hiking. I do some things on my own with friends, but the main groups that I've hiked with, the Tennessee Trails Association, we had their president do actually one of the programs a few months back for this event. There's several meetup.com sites. Some of them are kind of, more useful than others if you're looking specifically for hiking, but these are a couple of them. Vanderbilt, anybody knows the Worcester Lifelong Learning Institute, Vanderbilt has offer classes for ages 50 and up. And this year they started something called Ollie on Move, which is try to get people, like I say, up off the couch. So they tend to do greenways and, and Birch Reserve is probably the toughest one that they would tackle. So to go back to, okay, somebody thinks they're ready for hiking, this is what it takes for them to be ready. Well, we've got greenways. This is, by the way, the stuff that's free for you to take with you is on the back table. Please don't take any of this home. This is mine and Charlie's stash. But this Nashville, if you've never seen it, has this wonderful greenways map. And any community center or Shelby Bottoms, anything like that, you can pick one of those up. And that's a great sort of starting point for people. The lake track here, nice and flat, well maintained. It's 3 miles, so that might be more than some people can do, but it's pretty doable for most people. Now, if you're looking for something more, where you're carrying your electrolytes, and the bug repellent, and water, and more water, we're going to have some chance to look at some photos from Mossy Ridge, Fire Gizzard, and some other places. As we go through the slides here. Charlie and I are just going to, Charlie at some point is probably going to have to come up here because we're going to go back and forth with some of these. Charlie, this is one of your pictures.
I'm Charlie High. I'm the treasurer of the local Sierra Club group, the Tennessee group, and I'm also the chair of the ICO, which is Inspiring Connections Outdoors. And that's the organization where we take underprivileged children out into the woods or kayaking or cave exploring. I run that program every summer. We've got, I think, 12 outings scheduled in June and July. We've got a couple of special programs where we have we're working with the Tennessee Scenic Rivers Association. A select group of those kids are going to learn kayaking skills in 3 sessions in 3 3 separate weeks. I'm thinking that maybe these kids might have some job opportunities. I know that down at the Harpeth River where they rent kayaks, you know, for recreation, some of the places have been closed because they couldn't get enough employees this spring to operate. So these kids are going to be practicing at their facilities. So I'm hoping that some of them can have employment opportunities. Our kids come from Preston Taylor Ministries, which is a big charitable organization here in town. And we also work with the state park rangers in Sears 11 State Park and Long Hunter State Park. They have annually junior ranger camp, and they had been doing that for a number of years, and parents, mostly from the Lebanon area, would pay for their kids to go to camp. One of the assistant rangers had the idea that let's invite some kids that whose parents can't afford to pay for ranger camp, and so we got in with the Friends of Cedars of Lebanon and started, and we found the kids for them. We found the transportation for the kids. We gave them some of our money. We supplied volunteers to help out. We don't teach the program. We just help out. But that's another thing. We found that partnerships are great for helping these kids out, because it takes a village, I guess. But anyway, I was telling Jack when we were getting prepared for this, that I realized that the longest hike I ever took was 60 years ago in June. It was coming June. 11 years old. I was the youngest Boy Scout on the hike. You have to be 11 to join. And I was also the smallest scout on the hike, and I was obviously the slowest scout on the hike. And so the scoutmaster made me go first, of course, because then you wouldn't lose anybody, right? And I thought we hiked, what did I think, 60 miles?
Over how many days?
5 days. I got the maps out and then, we didn't hike that far, really. We hiked like 43 miles in 5 days, or 4 nights. We stopped at, they have these shelters that are like, they have 3 sides of wood and chicken wire around them, and they have bunks that are like logs with chicken wire to put your sleeping bag on, and one side is open up. And so our whole group went, I guess there was like 20 people on the hike, and I saw so many cool things because I was right up front. I saw the rattlesnake in the middle of the trail. I saw the scoutmaster get his stick and knock it off the trail down the hill. We came upon a king snake eating another king snake.
Wow.
That was pretty good because it was about 2/3 of the way gone, you know. So they're cannibals. And bears. We had this one kid that was just deathly afraid of the bears. And one of the shelters had a mother and cubs visiting. And that mother would say something to those cubs, and they would shoot up this tree, and you could tell that they'd been going up that tree a while. No limbs left on it, you know. And Herschel was that kid. Herschel was scared to death of bears. Well, so in the middle of the night, you know, the bears will come in those shelters and get your food. So you're supposed to hang the food up. Anyway, Scoutmaster says that he wakes up and the bear is straddling Herschel's sleeping bag, and Herschel's sleeping in it. And he gets a big piece of firewood and whacks the bear with it, and the bear screams and goes out. And the next morning, he had to tell Herschel about it. Herschel would not believe that that bear had been breathing. But it was really true. You know, they had arranged for us to bring all our food, of course, and we cooked together. And I was the littlest kid, so I carried all the lemonade. It was just, you know, sugar and lemon flavor, you know, just a big bag of stuff. But anyway, that's how I got into hiking, I guess, is that momentous hike. We were supposed to get 60 miles maybe, but I was so slow that we didn't get it. Some of the big boys were mad at me because I set slow pace. But I don't know if those big boys are hiking nowadays. I'm 71 and I hiked 11 miles at Beekman Park last month, so you know, I don't know if the big boys are still around anymore. Anyway,
Just to add to that, I'm also 71, and Saturday I'm doing fire visit to Foster Falls. 12 plus miles, whatever that is. So.
How many miles is that?
well,
Yeah, there's a little bit of a debate in the meetup group as to whether it's, you know, 11 or 12 or 15.
it's down this creek that cuts into the mountain.
It's not just the distance of the fire visit.
No,
You'll see
Scrabble. Okay.
Yeah, you'll see.
You're going up to Ravens Point, or you just?
Yeah, from Gunny County, Ravens Point.
It's beautiful hike.
It is. I've been on
Yeah.
that part of fire visit a couple times, yeah.
I'm Boulder hopping.
Yep.
Didn't they close Ravens Point for a while? Was it reopened?
Had to.
Yeah, so is it reopened now, the trail? Okay.
They got that land. So there was a private landowner.
Right.
Could block them, and they finally got to sell them easement. Yeah. But this is Beekman Park. It's up near Joelton. It's one of our newer metro parks. Beekman Park had a trail that went out the ridge from where it says you are here about to that place around here. I don't know. Anyway, they had a 6-mile trail that just went straight out the ridge and straight back. And they acquired a bunch more land, and so they extended their trails, and now they have a 12-mile trail that's, I guess you call it a 12-mile double loop. It's a 6-mile loop connected to another 6-mile loop, and this is right at the junction point here, Laurel Woods Trail junction point.
So you can do half of it and just do the 6 miles.
Right.
Each time.
It really ends up being 7.5 because to get from the parking lot to the actual
Yeah.
loop of the trail is a mile. 7 is 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
You gotta walk to get to the trail?
Okay, what's next?
You wanna see the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I marvel
You can go to
at
the next one.
how much green space and hiking opportunity there is in Nashville and Middle Tennessee. Like Charlie said, that's a city park.
That's a pretty rock that I saw in there. It looked like a little house to me. Anyway, next. That's just what the trail looks like, the new trail. You see, hadn't been many people down it because it's brand new. And one more. Okay.
Well, that was what we got for Beekman.
Can you tell me, the first time I hiked Beekman was out through the nature center, but every other time I've been going is down, back, and around. Can you still hike the trail from the nature center?
The problem is that bridge that crosses the stream is out. So if you start at the nature center and do what's called Sedge Hill Trail, you can make your way down to the creek, the little narrow one. But unless you're willing to wade across, you know, the creek and, yeah, a lot of people.
Most everybody goes to the other.
The other part?
Yeah, there's two parking
Because
places.
of that.
There's the nature center, there's the Creekside Trailhead parking, which is where the 2-mile Henry Hollow would
And of course,
typically goes
if
from.
You had the 12-mile trail with the extra mile and a half out and
Yeah.
that mile and a half back, that'd be 15. And then at the nature center, 2 miles.
Yeah.
Have a big
Well,
one.
there's a highway trailhead parking for Wallwoods, which is the long one. But it's just wonderful, it's a city park. Anyway, anybody here recognize that face? Who said that? Yeah, it's Randy Hedgepeth. This was a hike he led at Buggy Top Cave, which was really interesting. Unfortunately, made it more interesting by the fact that there were some people on the trail that shouldn't have been there. Did not quite understand what they were getting into. So that's part of Buggy Top Cave. There's also, some mileage on the trail itself.
And where is it?
Oh, I mean, it's kind of the common, pardon?
Swanee, Tracy.
Yeah, Swanee, Savage Gulf, the plateau, there's a lot of really good hiking over there. Stone Door, we'll see. And Buggy Top is somewhere out there. So there was about 4 miles of trail, a mile and a half inside the tunnel, which took us from the entry point to the exit point of 400 feet, but it was about a mile and a half inside the cave. So that was fun. This is one of the entrances.
Did you see it in the Cape Town? Any ones?
This was a while ago. Yeah, we saw something and I couldn't tell you what it was. This is yours, Charlie.
Yeah, that's a Sierra Club hike on the upper Cumberland there. Between Big South Fork and then there's the park, the state park.
Honey Creek?
Hmm?
Honey Creek? Honey Creek?
Pickett.
Oh, Pickett.
Pickett State Park. They built this trail, this is called Pogue Creek Trail. They built this, it's halfway between the Pickett Park and the entrance to the Big South Fork on that road to Pickett. There's some.
And I just threw this in the vein of the greenways. Relatively easy hikes. Ellington Agricultural Center. It's maybe not a place you'd think of hiking, but it's actually a very pleasant hike. There's a couple of trails there. There's an old cemetery there that's really cool. It's just a nice environment. Okay, here we get to Fire Gizzard.
That's Fiery Gizzard.
That's part of the Fire Gizzard Trail, the boulder climb. So it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
And that literally is part of the trail.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
So
one of the most difficult dig trails in Tennessee, if not the country.
Somebody at one point had said something about Backpacker Magazine.
Yeah, it's
one of the
rated.
25 best trails in the country.
It was the top 10 I read once
It was the
before.
top 10.
Yeah, I don't know, that was a while ago, but it's strenuous.
It is.
It's very, you might need an oxygen tank once you get halfway up.
Well, that's the one trail I was glad I bought gloves because I don't use poles and
Yeah,
I was literally on the
Yeah.
Got the shade that keeps hitting the head.
Yeah, and this is just the Grundy County is where the trail starts, and there's a sign-in sheet at the terminus, and you see things like Sasquatch and Bigfoot.
Didn't say this.
People are having fun with that, and that's a bit more. And that's Ravens Point, I believe.
yeah.
Looks like it. So that's a few miles out. That's one of those. Typically, when I've done it, it's like we'll get out to that point, start in the morning, get up to this point, and have lunch here, before making our way back. I think this is yours, Charlie.
Yes, there's a picture of fog at Mount LeConte.
Is that what? Nice.
That's the trail. There's a trail marker.
Where's that?
At Mount LeConte. Mount LeConte has a lodge where you can spend the night and they serve you dinner and breakfast. It's pretty expensive, like
You're
$100 a night.
You
You
got this.
gotta book a year and a half.
Yeah, that's the problem. When I lived in Knoxville, my wife and I did this with a cabin.
Yeah.
Cabin had the most interesting door I've ever seen because it was reinforced in here.
Yeah.
The thing you flip over.
It's a ways out.
Yeah, there's my hiking companions on the way up. It's about, the shortest way is about 6 miles up. And, there we are, we're looking very good there.
There's the wizard.
Right there in the woods. And, well, that's what it looks like on top. It's beautiful up there. You see those rock formations there? I don't know what that is, but it's really cool. And of course, the reason you go to the Appalachians is to see that stuff right there. Ridge after ridge after ridge after ridge. That's why the Smoky Mountains makes you happy, because you can see that.
I agree.
What's the elevation change?
6,979, anyway, around 6,900.
Well, you're talking about the peak, the height of the peak. So what the elevation is that we start at?
It's about 4,000 to 6,900.
3 to 5,000, depending on which trail you go.
We took the Allen Cave Bluff this year.
That's the steepest.
It's the steepest one. You'll see one more. There's a little pretty view from the mountain there. My brother's stocking cap. And, there you are, going down the trail in the fog. It was all foggy when we left in the morning.
That's what happened to me when we went up to La Combe. It was totally socked in. We didn't get to see any views from
Well, it was great for us, because we saw everything in the afternoon, and then next morning it was.
Very cool.
So for LeConte, do you not have to make reservations?
Oh, yeah.
Way ahead of time?
Yeah,
Yes.
so you want to get on the waiting list first, that's the first thing.
Yeah, October 1 is when they do the lottery.
But you can also go up and come back down.
And so-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've done that too, and I've gone up there and brought the tent and slept
Yeah, there's
in the
camp
camp
up there.
campground.
So looks like we're back to the
Right to Pone Creek. Now, this is not Pone Creek, this is the Walls of Jericho. The Walls of Jericho is a hiking area that starts in Tennessee and goes down into Alabama. And this is the Sierra Club, Little Tennessee group hike we took over there. It's a tough hike because you go down and up and down and up.
Yeah, coming back
Which
is,
side did you go?
it's tough.
Which side?
Yeah, did you go to the Scottsboro, Alabama side or
No.
Winchester side?
Winchester side, yeah.
So you went into the Tennessee side?
Yeah.
Okay, I did the Alabama, and then I came out to the Tennessee side a few years back.
While I'm thinking about it before I forget, these are my hiking files, so I've got files on a few of these that you're welcome to kind of look at. Just please don't take it home.
And that's just some of the reasons why it's called the Walls of Jericho there. It's just, it gets shady there real early. You see there, massive,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
not very good photographs, but massive, big cliffs. And there's the two hikers that went with me. It's Mountain Dave on the right. He's a famous hiker. And that's just the creek runs through. Okay. There's more on the side of the, now this is yours.
Yeah, this is Mossy Ridge, which is, we should have just called it Warner Park. I confused between Percy and then Percy Warner Park, but Mossy Ridge, otherwise known as Red Trail. You know, it's about a 5-mile loop, and then you got access.
Did you say Red Trail?
Yeah, Mossy Ridge is,
Okay.
a lot of people say, oh, I have the Red Trail. What we're talking about is Mossy Ridge. Because you got, Mossy Ridge is the Red Trail, Percy Warner Woods Trail, shorter one is the White Trail. And then you've also got the Blue Trail. I just thought this was an interesting funky tree with all the girls on it. And I'm sure that you have seen this.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure what the history is on this. Does anybody know?
Either.
This is right off of Mossy Ridge.
Yeah, in Percy Warner,
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
there was a cabin up there, I remember going through,
Is that the scout cabin that was?
years ago, I went on, many years ago, on a high school, trip, and we were in one of those convertible buses. And there was a cabin, I don't know if it's that side, but there was a cabin on fire up there when we drove through. And it was on the news the next day that someone, had died in the cabin in a fire up there.
Yeah,
That may be that may be.
It was a big log cabin, from what I remember, because I think I was there when I was in the 6th grade. Years ago.
I keep being to look at Friends of Warner. So
It was a lot of scout troops and just different groups used
So
it.
that's a massive, I mean, that's what it is for a house. This is just another interesting piece of
That
stuff.
was the only heat in
That-
that cabin.
What's that?
That was the only heat in that cabin.
Oh, I suppose, yeah, but it's so massive. I just like some of the stuff that you run across on these trails. That's Mossy Ridge too. This was about 3 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. Some nice flowers, including the flower growing out of the soil that had collected in the dead branch. Life finds a way, right? Like Jurassic Park. And they were just crazy that day that I was there. But this is what the trail looks like on Mossy Ridge. Yet another one. I really like that flower that day. And this is just this looks like a dead tree, but if you can't tell it very well from the picture, but if you look at it, it's actually got live new growth on it, new leaves, so it's not dead. And again, Mossy Ridge, and this is characteristic of, you know, the up and down you get and all the tree roots and that kind of terrain, which I think is fun to hike. So, we're lucky to have Mossy Ridge. We got one here.
You'll have to give me another one,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is part of the Pogue Creek Trail I
Yeah.
talked about earlier, that they just built. And that's some of the things you'll see when you're out hiking, is a staircase like this to get down these big rocks.
Is that the one that's got Cherokee Falls?
No falls on this.
No, okay, sorry.
Is this out by Pickett?
Sounds like they
It's really incredible, the rock formations and that you could see
Yeah,
in
you
there.
can see that those rocks there are just, very interesting. There was standing on top of a arch.
Oh, that's how we look.
No, they have.
There's arches in all of
Well,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Creek.
Big South, the arch is the Big South Fork. I don't know if there's an arch in Cook Creek, isn't
I believe there are.
Yeah. I know there's some that's not big. I've been through that.
Oh, that's right.
So I may be wrong, you know, I looked at my pictures and figured out where we were talking about. But anyway, there's somebody up on top of some nice rock. Yeah.
Carolina, isn't it?
Oh.
No, this is what Brandon was talking about. Now, this picture was taken a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Isn't that cool?
so cool.
So now Brandon has shown me a photograph that was taken more recently. And like you said, they're almost as big as the adults, and they're all black now.
Wow.
Did they start out white like that? Kind of white?
Yeah. Fuzzy.
Fuzzy gray.
Fuzzy, but then they're black for a while. It's
It
like
takes them
horses.
5 years to get white head and tail.
Yeah.
It's like horses. Dappled gray is more black.
Took me longer than that to get this.
Me too. Takes them 5 years.
Great shot.
So, Obviously, that was Radnor, this is Radnor in the winter.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Wow.
Yeah, not pretty, it's colors.
Who took these pictures?
Mostly me and Radnor.
Wow.
Want to do a shout out for volunteering activities. If you go to Radnor's website, Tennessee State Parks, there's an activities and events link in the menu, and I'm talking to Brandon about it. Because they've acquired some new property kind of in the southeast corner, and they're building it's going to be called Harris Ridge. It's going to be a new parking area with hundreds of parking spaces. You can take Harris Ridge from there up to connect up to the east lot here. This is underway. It's not coming on. But
Parking lot can also Franklin Road.
you were right. You don't have to enter from Franklin Road.
How many acres did they have?
I don't know, but if you want to go watch the recording, it's probably on our website.
Oh, the YouTube of Steve
Yeah.
talking about it?
Yeah, because we were.
Yeah, it's really good job.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, last month's program was conducted by Steve Ward here, who is the park manager, head ranger. And it's on YouTube, go to the Tennessee Sierra.
Really good talk, yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
And this is where the Metro Public Works picks up Christmas trees that people throw out, and then they bring them over here and chop them up.
Yeah,
and
so
throw
we
it
were-
out on the trail.
We had, 8 or 10 people one day just loading up wheelbarrows and putting them on the trail.
I just found out the other day when I was here, making sure the laptop would connect, it said you can park up at the church. You may all have known that, I didn't know that, and then one
Well,
the
as long
close.
as it's not a Sunday.
Well, they said even Sunday's okay, as long as you're not close to the church, park in the perimeter lots, is what the, that's what Ann told me that.
Oh, did she? Well, okay. On occasion, if it's Sunday, I've seen their sign up that says.
Oh, it says no, okay.
Parishioners only.
I had no idea, because I know sometimes when I come over here, it's
Yeah,
very
it's
hard to
5
find a
minutes long.
spot.
Yeah, I didn't know they allowed it. I mean, I've done it, but I didn't know it was allowed.
Yeah, unless it's like Sunday morning when they're doing the church thing, they're fine.
But that's
This is so
a good
great.
one.
What a
I
great
know.
shot. Did you take that?
No, I've got a next door neighbor who has this camera lens that's unbelievable. He spends time out here. He actually took this at Shelby.
Oh.
Park.
And what kind of bird is that? Is that a falcon?
That's an osprey.
Oh.
And he told me, and he's a birder, so I guess he knows what he's talking about.
Oh.
So
Wow.
here's, yeah.
Wow.
Now the fun part is,
Oh.
He looks like he's riding it.
that's what he was telling me. They call this bird the silver surfer because instead of grabbing the fish this way, it has 1 foot in front of the other, like it's riding a surfboard.
Well, that's more aerodynamic here.
Probably. I mean, it sounds logical to me.
That's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
It does, it looks like he's surfing.
Somebody had a picture of one with either talon.
Oh, that's
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Man,
Wow.
okay.
I don't know how to do that. This is a Machine Falls, Short Springs Natural Area.
Machine?
Machine Falls is the name of the falls.
Where is that?
It's,
Yeah, it's in Toho, basically, a good way to describe it. But it's got a very tiny park.
You can go over to the Short Springs side and walk over to it.
Okay, yeah. I just-
There's a better parking lot over there, I think.
Okay.
Short Springs.
That's just the description of the.
It's pretty high.
It is. It's neat.
It's a
Actually,
really
there's several
pretty
falls.
spring hike for wildflower.
Yeah. Speaking of wildflower, does anybody want to venture a guess as to where this is taken?
Check it out.
No, that's a reasonable guess because there are a lot of dwarf larkspur, the purple flower here at Radnor.
Demon. You had to be able to get close enough to get the demon.
Wearable.
Yeah, it could be.
So where is it?
Here's the other clue.
Taylor
You
Hall.
know, there you go. You got it.
Where's it
That's
called?
blue-eyed berries.
Taylor Howell is up in considered Westmoreland in Sumner County.
Oh, uh-huh.
It is a protected area, it's a conservation area, protected under easement. When it was purchased by the Nature Conservancy, it was one of the first properties in Tennessee where the Nature Conservancy was involved in acquiring property in order to protect it. So Taylor Hollow is, I mean, as I've heard, it's not that nothing has ever been logged there, but the logging was so long ago and it's been so undeveloped since then. It's a pretty pristine, area. And these blue-eyed Marys, are crazy that you don't find those very many places. Yeah.
Are you
And
saying?
you need permission to go on Taylor Hollow?
Yeah. The thing to do is if you go to the, sometimes organizations like the Horticulture Society or something.
There's a native plant society.
Yeah, but even those groups, generally you want to go with a group. And the groups have to work with Roger McCoy and Department of Environment Conservation, and Corey Giles with the Nature Conservancy to basically obtain permission. They try to be very careful about limiting the number of people at Taylor Hollow.
Yeah, Sierra.
Yeah, our ones also have things.
Is the Nature Conservancy, are they buying more land to protect it in Tennessee or since?
Oh, yeah, that's all they do.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, and right across the road, there's a road called Bear Car Road, one of the borders of Taylor Hollow. There's a place called Larkspur Conservation. I imagine some of you have heard of that. It is also a property that's a conservation area with land that's been, they work with the Nature Conservancy to acquire property, and they're in the process of acquiring some additional property, so.
how do they oversee the properties, do you know? As far as, is that part of what they do?
Well, yeah, I think that's part of what Nature Conservancy does. Do you know more, Stuart?
No, I just wanted to tell us the story about Larkspur. It's kind of.
Did anybody in PBS lately run across
Yeah.
a show called Bury Me at Taylor Hollow? See, Diane, you've seen it? William?
Yeah. I just had the pitch from the salesman of the funeral center. Yeah, you could be buried at Larkspur. Larkspur is some kind of death flower, right? It has something to do with that. Anyway.
It's called natural burial.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I heard
I
about
have I have a friend that actually did that.
That's in their form.
My wife was buried there.
Oh.
She died a couple of years ago. And she was involved with Sierra Club and a lot of other environmental things. And it wasn't like it was expected, so my kids and I were trying to figure out what to do. And I remember reading an article in the paper about Becca Stevens, who I'll bet people know. Thistle Farms, Magdalen House,
Right.
Episcopal minister, who has just championed these really interesting causes. And the idea of a natural burial ground was something she was interested in. And basically, pulled together a coalition, working with the Nature Conservancy to acquire this property right across from Taylor Hollow.
And what's the name of that place?
Larkspur is conservation, and it's a conservation burial area. So somebody mentioned natural burial.
Yeah.
It is natural burial, but there are some natural burial grounds that are not necessarily doing everything Larkspur is doing, which is the conservation side of things, and working with the Nature Conservancy and protecting the land and acquiring the property to have a permanent easement to protect it from
Are
development.
there monuments? Are there monuments at the graves or?
It is a little bit different. It's not going to look like a regular grave. It's going to look like you're on a hiking trail.
Right.
And like for Nancy, they found a stone about yay big that was kind of heart-shaped. And they engraved, just the name, the date in it. There's no epitaphs and no fancy pictures and nothing like that. It fits in the environment very nicely.
Yeah.
according to the film, as of the end of 2021, there are 100 people there. But they have capacity for many more than
And they're not buried in a box.
that. Well, that's right. Everything's got to be biodegradable. No vaults, no embalming.
So they do a wood box, or
I'm sorry?
they do a wood box?
You can do a shroud, you can do a pine box, a wicker basket, they've done all those things.
And one of the things about it is that, what the cost of the plot is actually contributing to the conservation.
Oh,
That's the.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wonderful.
Well, and while it's certainly not the most important aspect of it, it's actually a lot cheaper to be buried than it is a conventional cemetery.
Would have to be.
Because of the stuff you're not paying for.
They do promote that it's more ecological than cremation.
Oh,
Really? Oh, this is
Yeah, it is.
It would have to be, I mean, you use all that gas to see it,
I'm sold.
I'd rather go dust to dust than ashes to ashes.
But there's another,
There you go.
I think the Pacific Northwest, they putting people in, or bodies into mulch piles and let them decompose in the mulch and, as a burial.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I don't know how, I mean, I read it a
I
while
don't know
ago.
that Larkspur is trying to say we're the most
Oh, no, that's,
exposed, but it's a marriage of an opportunity
Conservation
for
and-
natural burial with the land conservation part of the mission.
Yeah.
And that, they're, actually, they have designed, I shouldn't say designs probably, but thinking forward to some of the other properties that they could acquire. I'm not sure they'd all be contiguous with this. It might be they're thinking about some others, but Belcourt had a screening of that very near Taylor Howell, and John Christian Pfeiffer, the executive director there, was saying they're looking at the possibility of acquiring enough property, they would be the biggest conservation burial place in the country. So,
That's interesting.
very ambitious, and they've done a really fine job with what they, I feel like. with what they've done.
Is that the documentary, Bury Me at?
Bury Me at Taylor Howell. The PBS has a program called Real South, REEL South, and that's the time slot for Real South is where they were showing Bury Me at Taylor Howell. But I think if you just went to PBS.org
Yeah,
and look for streaming programs, you can probably find it. All right, so Blue-Eyed Mary, Dwarf Larkspur. Anybody know what the other thing is?
It's a poppy.
Poppy, all these things co-mingle with Taylor Howell.
Wow.
It's just a gorgeous, look at that. I mean, the picture doesn't even do it justice. Because those Blue-Eyed Mary are so small and kind of delicate and soft. You have to be there to be able to see it.
And the truth is, you can go up there and hide.
Oh, yes. Thank you for saying that. So Taylor, we're talking about Taylor Howell being restricted, and you need to go with the group, you don't just show up and hike there. Larkspur Conservation is open all the time, any time of day, any day, to hike on its trails. Now, it's not going to be the ultimate hiking experience, if you're looking for a hiking challenge, but it's an interesting place to hike. They've got woods, they've got meadows, they've got a little lake. And some people,
Very pretty.
find it very appealing to hike there knowing what it is.
I'm talking about trespassing. You can go to Taylor Hall and trespass. There's nobody out there.
I know, but I encourage
For you not to.
Well, they ain't for roads.
Didn't you used to be a lawyer?
Now you know why I quit. Okay.
No, I did, arrange with, well, actually, the Vanderbilt Alley on the Move group that I had mentioned. I I helped them work with the Nature Conservancy and the parks to schedule the time to do the Trail of Hollow Rock. But it was literally, you know, what time slots are there, you know, people there, you know. We did
It's
it
a
out of
pretty
the book.
delicate area.
Oh, it is. It is. It's really got an interesting feel to it.
It's probably been 30 or 40 years since I've been there.
It probably was.
I was there just after they bought it, before they started doing it. So it was like-
Yeah.
Yeah, Taylor Hollow's definitely got a distinctive.
Where is that?
This is, with Tennessee Trails did a, Washmorgan Hollow hike, which is private property, so I don't know how they engineered that, but, there's just some interesting stuff in Washmorgan Hollow. I mean, it was another rock scramble for cars.
Where's this located?
Marlins up there.
In Tennessee or?
It's, it's Tennessee, sort of kind of in the vicinity of Cookville,
Oh,
but I couldn't tell you exactly how to get there. It'd be interesting to Google search Washmorgan Hollow, I'm not sure anything would show up. It's totally undeveloped, just kind of a funky place to hike. You know, you got all these little cascading waterfalls. It's a neat place. You got something growing out of the rock. I don't know. Somebody explain to me how that works.
There's a little bit of dirt in it.
One molecule at a time.
Yeah. And these formations of rock, can you explain that? I'm not sure, I mean, it had to be a natural form
Wow.
somehow.
Looks like it would be formed from like water.
Well, yeah, you take some kind of water erosion, maybe parts of the rock.
Freezing, cracking.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Oh, you know what? That's as far as Washmorgan Hollow, we didn't really help with it, so.
Mm.
I'll do that for you.
What was the name of it again? Seriously.
This one? Washmorgan Hollow.
Washmorgan?
Washmorgan, just like it sounds. Mark Hubbard with the Tennessee Trails